name's Larry Bradshaw. I'm an advocate for judicial reform, independent researcher, and I do forensic accounting, specifically in the Internal Revenue files. I've written an article here that I'd like to share with you today. It's called Uncharted and Perilous Waters, subtitled, Will Obamacare Survive the Storm? While much debate is being broadcast in regard to Obamacare, has it ever occurred to anyone that Obamacare cannot apply to the private sector within the exterior boundaries of the Union States? Consider for a minute that being the enforcement of Obamacare is under the jurisdiction of the Internal Revenue Service, and we see that by the President's authorizing the IRS to hire 16,000 or so new IRS agents to enforce Obamacare, it would be reasonable to assume that Obamacare is limited to the taxing jurisdiction of the federal government. Being Obamacare is not an excise tax on a regulated activity under the enforcement of the alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, it must come under the jurisdiction of Subtitle A of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 and or the Social Security Act. Just the facts reveal that any return authorized by Subtitle A is considered an individual income tax return, including the Form 1040 U.S. Individual Income Tax Return, which you file on the 15th of April each year. And this is a Tax Class 2 document. It's important to understand the way the IRS keeps their database files. It's a massive system that they maintain up there, probably keep information on everybody on the planet. And you must learn how to decode that information, or you'll never figure out what they know about you. And it's important to know this because what they know about you, they can and will use against you. The self-employment tax imposed under IRC Section 1401 is also reported on the Form 1040 U.S. Individual Income Tax Return, and both are listed on the Individual Master File. It must be noted that True Tax Class 2 has no information returns, and the Treasury Financial Manual states that Tax Class 2 is used to report estimated tax on taxable trusts. This calls into question to whom does the individual income tax really apply. The United States Supreme Court in 1941 answered this question. In the case of the District of Columbia v. Murphy, 314 U.S. 441 in 1941, the High Court copied Senator Overton's statements to the President of the Senate Conferees, wherein he stated, "Mr. President, I now call your attention to the fact that the individual income tax is imposed only on those domiciled within the District of Columbia." The limited jurisdiction of the individual income tax under Subtitle A is further supported by the fact that the term trade or business, which net earnings from self-employment, IRC Section 1401, is predicated, is not defined in either the Social Security Act or the Internal Revenue Code of 1954. The IRS has admitted, however, that the Internal Revenue Code Section 162 contains part of the definition. To find the complete definition, you will have to look at the District of Columbia Code 47, Section 1801-4, which supports the conclusion that the individual income tax, Form 1040, Tax Class 2, only applies to those domiciled in the District of Columbia. Now, the IRS maintains some 57 or so different data files on each Social Security number, one of which is the individual master file. That is the main file that they keep on you, like the register in your checkbook. And this individual master file, however, only lists two employment categories: the IRS and federal. Another data file, called the UNDISA file, contains a interesting code, POD, which is post of duty, which is only applicable to federal, civilian, and military employees, including vendors and independent contractors who contract with the federal government. While several of the 50 or so different data files contains IRS and federal employment codes, none of the data files that I have researched contains employment codes for the private sector. Being the District of Columbia is a national city belonging to the nation, all persons under contract with the federal government are considered domiciled in the District of Columbia, and their venue of service is termed their post of duty. This would suggest that the individual master file, the Form 1040 U.S. Individual Income Tax Return, is applicable only to IRS and federal employees. One could ask, why are there two categories of employees on the IMF? Are not IRS and federal employees one and the same? The answer may be no, considering the definition of the Internal Revenue Agent found in 27 Code of Federal Regulations at 2611. An Internal Revenue Agent is an agent of the Internal Revenue Service of the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. While it is common knowledge that the 16th Amendment allows Congress to tax income from whatever source derived, and this sounds final to the average observer, even the IRS admits that there are taxable income and non-taxable income. Reason would dictate that the 16th Amendment must be predicated on a filing requirement, as indicated in the United States Supreme Court case Central Illinois Public Service Company v. the United States at 435 U.S. 21 in 1978. As an example, if the purported taxpayer receives only gifts for the taxable year, he would not have any taxable income and no filing requirement. Therefore, the 16th Amendment would be a moot point. And the fact is, the Form W-2, W-4, and 1099 miscellaneous are all True Tax Class 5 estate and gift tax information forms. And estate and gift tax has its own returns, which is the 706 and 709, not the Form 1040. Now, what does this mean? If a payer or employer reports an amount to the IRS on the Form W-2 or 1099 miscellaneous, that payer is reporting that he has given a gift to the recipient. The Secretary of the Treasury, in like kind, accepts the reported amount as a gift under 42 U.S.C. 3535. And because gifts are non-taxable, the gift tax under Internal Revenue Code 2501 is imposed on the donor, which makes the payer liable for the tax. While the foregoing has been termed by some as chartered and on perilous waters, this author agrees that the fact listed above may be uncharted waters, but the real question is, to whom is it perilous? The citizens or Obamacare? And the final question is, so what is the taxing jurisdiction of the federal government and Obamacare? There will be other articles behind this here. Have a good day.